have a constraint. I have only 5 minutes to do this video. I need to exploit this 5 minutes and use it as effectively as possible. I only get 5 minutes and nothing more. What I've just explained to you is the theory of constraints. Goldratt introduced this to us in his book The Goal in the 1980s. The 5 focusing steps are: identify the system's constraints, exploit the system's constraints, subordinate everything else to the exploitation decision, elevate the constraints, and repeat for continuous improvement. A constraint is a limitation or a restriction, and the theory of constraints can be used to find solutions to any challenges by placing the focus on the constraint. This means that the theory of constraints can be used in any situation in business and in life. But how does the theory of constraints apply to strategy? So strategy is the long-term direction of any organization. And today we're going to focus on how the theory of constraints applies to resource-based strategy formulation. An organization's business can be divided into 3 horizons. Horizon 1, which is the current core activities. Horizon 2, which is emerging activities. And Horizon 3, which is your possibilities. Every company has a set of distinctive resources and competences that make up their strategic capabilities and give them a competitive advantage. So what makes these capabilities distinctive? Well, they are valuable, they are rare, competitors cannot easily imitate them, and the organization is organized to exploit them. In other words, they are VRIO. These capabilities play an important role in the company's competitive strategy and form the essence of strategy formulation. So let's focus on resources and competences and rewrite the theory of constraints for Horizon 1. Identify the VRIO capabilities, the constraint, or in this case, opportunities. Exploit the VRIO capabilities. Subordinate everything else to the VRIO capabilities, elevate the VRIO capabilities, and repeat for continuous improvement. By doing this, the business has now ensured its competitive advantage and secured its core competencies in Horizon 1. A good example of this is Harley-Davidson in the 1980s. The company realized that their sole VRIO capability was the iconic image and the loyalty to the brand. In virtually every other area, Harley was inferior to their Japanese rivals. Their only chance of survival was for Harley to build a strategy around their VRIO capability. They exploited the image and subordinated all decisions around building the Harley image. They also started elevating the image through bringing back traditional design and focusing the marketing efforts on increasing the market. But what about Horizon 2 and 3? A company's view into these horizons should include a strategic change into their capabilities and development of their resource base. Here, the organization needs dynamic capabilities, the ability to recreate and renew its strategic capabilities to ensure that it meets the need of the changing environment and that it is filling resource gaps. The theory of constraints' 5 focusing steps can once again be applied. At this point, it is also important to identify resources and competences that will become redundant as you move into Horizon 2 and 3 and that needs to be discarded. So let's look at 2 South African examples of companies that have identified their VRIO capabilities and are exploiting these. Nando's, the iconic peri-peri chicken company, has 2 VRIO capabilities. The first is their delicious sauces and spices, and the second is their satirical tongue-in-cheek approach to advertising. They exploit both of these capabilities very well. They are now selling their sauces and spices in major retail outlets, and they are always first with coming up with new ad campaigns that focuses on current issues. And then, who doesn't recognize the iconic Magnum M? The makers of Magnum have realized that this M is their VRIO capability, and they are exploiting the capability by using it in both pop-up Magnum stores as well as recently in a fashion range. There are many other examples, but let's conclude as my 5-minute constraint is almost up. By applying the 5 focusing steps of the theory of constraints, you can identify your most critical resources and competences in all 3 horizons and build a strategy for competitive advantage.